All right. We are live. New Campfire show number 6, I
Six.
think. It's
Yes.
6, right? Number
Yes.
6. It's been a pleasure having this show and really hosting wonderful individuals and former students. This time is no exception with Rachel Brown joining us. Hi, Rachel. How are you doing?
Hey, Ludo. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Getting ready for the end of year holiday season.
Yep.
Maybe we'll talk about that as well if you have any plans. But hey, for everyone who's joining, this is a live show. We are on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Facebook live. You can actually join this show. And Zach, I see you here. Zach has clicked the dial-in link that's going to pop up on the chat at some point. You can join us at any time. We'll bring you onto the main stage, and you'll be able to have a chat with Rachel and I and ask your questions. But let's get started with Rachel. Hey, Zach is here.
Yes.
Rachel, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. So I am Rachel Brown. I am a programmer analyst at ZetaSoft Incorporated. I'm a mother of a 3-year-old and a wife of 7 years. We live in Fort Worth, Texas. But I'm not a Texan. I'm sorry for all those Texans who just love their state. It's just we just live here. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and yeah. What else you want to know?
Cool. Well, that's plenty enough. And we were just talking about different places where you lived right before we
Mm-hmm.
went live.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying something really interesting to me about Seattle. What were you talking about regarding Seattle?
So Seattle, my husband would love to live in Seattle. That was
Can you
just
believe that?
yes, it's his dream city. He loves overcast. He lived in Alaska for some years, so it's kind of like his Alaska fix and how he feels. You know how he
Yeah.
feels when he was growing up in Alaska, but it's still in the lower 48. So he would love to go there. Me, I just would like to see how it is first,
Yeah,
maybe.
you're right. Yeah.
Just I don't know.
Do you like moderate weather, or do you really enjoy more hot weather and
I think I like warm, sunny
yeah.
weather. You know. So Florida, Texas, I'm actually not mad at Texas's weather. It gets hot, but I know it's gonna be warm. I only need maybe a light jacket. I don't need my raincoat or my rain boots.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
So my wife, before we moved to Seattle, we lived in Boston, and my wife was like, "No way, I'm gonna enjoy Seattle. It's rainy, it's cold, it's like." She was like, I really enjoy the cities, New York, Boston, that's my thing.
Right.
She hated the winters in Boston, though.
Mm-hmm.
Summer's great, but she fell in love with Seattle. Like, it's true what they say. Like, when you come here and you visit and you see how big and beautiful and majestic it can be,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually easy to fall in love with the city. So I understand your
I
husband.
hear you. I hear you, and I'm not gonna knock it till I try it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So if we come and visit, we're gonna come see you, Ludo, and I'm gonna expect you to just
Yes.
show us
I'll give you a
around,
tour.
plead your case for Seattle, for us moving to Seattle, because my
Yeah.
husband's already sold. But just, plead your case and we'll see
Cool.
what the city has to offer us.
And we were living in Boston, and I was coming to Seattle for work at Microsoft. And I remember telling myself that every time I was in Seattle, it was sunny. I kid you not. It was like for a couple of days, and every time, February or during the summer, it was always sunny. I was like, what are they talking about?
What
But
are they
then, yeah,
talking
you
about?
live, yeah. Anyway, so thank you everyone for joining online. We're going to have a chat with Rachel in just about a second. Bingo, good to see you here. Barry, good to see you here. Kirby is asking who is Zach. Well, I'll let Zach answer that question. Zach is actually waiting for us to bring him onto the main floor, but Zach will have a conversation with Rachel first. Oh,
Sorry.
okay, that's okay. Don't tell me that's your dog because
No, no,
that'll be weird.
no. Just
Okay,
some extremely loud car.
yeah. So, Rachel, you have a really exciting job right now, but we get to that later. Can you tell
Okay.
us a little bit about what were you doing before joining New Camp? When did you join? Why did you join? Can you can
Okay.
you walk us through the
Man.
the history
What
of your move?
What a
into coding?
story.
Yeah.
So I was a preschool teacher. Like I said, we have a 3-year-old. So in order for us to get, a 50% discount, I had to work at his school. So I'm like, sign me up. That's half of his tuition I already paid for. So
Oh
I
wow.
was a preschool teacher for 3 years. And the pandemic hits. So, the only child that I can watch during the pandemic is my own. Therefore, I wasn't working. So I had a friend reach out to me and was like, Rachel, you have a degree in math. Like, why not we put that to use? And I've always known that I had to do something else to maybe specialize in something or go and get my master's degree because math is just too broad. Like math could be anything. And everybody would always ask, are you an accountant? No. I started off as that and it wasn't enough math for me. So it was just counting numbers and moving into the next sheet of paper. So it wasn't enough for me. So she was like, why not, try a coding boot camp? Like my friend did one before. And I was like, I've never heard of that. Don't even know really what coding is. I think I took a computer informations class in college and I hated it, did horrible in it. It was so hard for me to do, but I'll just see what happens. And there's a pandemic, so I can't do anything else. So I found something online. It's like a 5-day free trial of something. And I'm doing every single day of this 5-day free trial. And I'm killing it. I'm like, this is easy. I like this. Like, this is going very well. So I sit down with my husband and I'm like, the only options that I've seen is that I quit my job and I go full time
Yeah.
to a school in a sense. And at the time we're still in Fort Worth. So I'm like, I can find somewhere in Dallas, like maybe I commute every day from 8 to 5, or there's something that I see online that's 8 to 5. Like I'm really not doing anything. So that could work, but that's a lot of time. And it's also thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars
Yeah.
that we do not have. I work out here getting a discount on my son's school. How am I going to pay for my own school? So that wasn't going to work. So I was like, maybe there's somewhere in Fort Worth that I could maybe go to as opposed to me commuting all the way to Dallas. I'm just checking my options. And I searched like Fort Worth coding boot camps. New camp pops up and I'm like, okay, don't know what this is about, but I'll check it out. So I'm reading, and I'm like, hold on, it's saying I can do this on my own and I meet only once a week on a Saturday. Okay, we're working. Okay, this makes sense. Like I can do this. I can, even if they call me back to work, because granted, this is in March, like right when the pandemic started. We just got laid off.
2020, right?
2020, March
Yeah, yeah.
2020. So pandemic has just started. I'm thinking I'm going back to work in 2 weeks. So even if they do call me back, I can still do this boot camp and just go to class on Saturdays. Thinking I was going to go in person, by the way. So I was like, I'll just do this boot camp and then go to the classes on Saturday. So then I scroll some more. I see the price and I'm like, EJ, this is definitely what I should do. This is it. So I am looking at the classes now, the schedule, and I see that the next one starts that following Monday, and it's Friday at this point. And I'm
Oh,
like,
really? You registered 2 days before?
2 days before.
No way.
So I saw that it
Wow.
started on the Monday, and I was like, EJ, either I'm gonna do it now or there's another one in May. By
Yeah.
May, I might convince myself not to do this. But like I
Yeah.
told you, I was killing it on them 5-day trial.
So,
So I'm
so
like,
you only had 5 days of experience coding. Do you
yeah,
remember what those 5 days were about? Like, what did you do really exactly in 5 days? Like,
I
hello
think
world in HTML, or what was it?
it's exactly what it was, HTML and
Pretty much.
CSS.
Yeah.
And even in the CSS part, it was very like, oh, this is an H1, and this is what
Yeah.
you can do with the H1. You can bold it, you can change the color. I was like, oh, I can do that. Look, EJ, look at my new script. Look at my website. Like, look what I've done. And I couldn't do this 2 days ago. So yeah, so
Instant gratification. I mean, those 5 days are super important to have really instant gratification when you do those things. Like you change a line and everything's changing. Yeah.
exactly. I'm a
You
pro
feel
now.
like you feel like you could create Google right after that.
Why not, Ludo?
Exactly, right?
Why
Yeah. Yeah.
not? So
Awesome.
I have 2 days to figure out if I'm going to pursue New Camp
Yeah.
because it's about to start either on Monday or a month from that Monday.
Yeah.
And he was like, Rachel, I really have peace about you doing this. Like, let's move forward in it and let's go. So signed up, started on that Monday. And then even in when we were choosing what to pursue, I think I only did the 4 week class at first.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you started
Signed
with
up just for
the
yes,
fundamentals, HTML, CSS, and
because
JavaScript.
I'm brand new to this, like
Yeah.
brand new to this. I definitely need the web development, those basics, whatever. So let's just do 4 weeks. I think that's what we settled on. Let's do the 4 weeks, and then we'll just see how this goes.
Uh-huh.
Maybe 2 weeks into it, there's new camp. You, Ludo, and your people are like, hey, if you sign up for the next one, you get a deal. And I'm like, oh man. Okay, well, let's talk about this, EJ. So if I sign up now, then I can get a deal on my next, the next one, whatever. But if I don't do it now, then I can get charged, X, Y, and Z. I have to pay the full price. So I'm like, so now we're now 2 weeks into this, and we're like, it's going well. It's
Yeah.
still going well. I'm still riding my 5 day. We're 2 weeks in it. It's going very well. I'm doing my
And the first
projects.
2 weeks are the easiest 2 weeks, right? Because that's JavaScript hits right after that, right?
Y'all didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that. That's what I'm saying. You didn't tell me that. But at that point, I was already signed up for the full stack. At that point, I was just like, well, we are doing this till October.
Yeah.
So we signed up 2 weeks, and I had to see, I had to settle it with EJ as well, because he has to watch Apollos for those 5 hours every Saturday. And I'm like, okay, this is a commitment on your behalf, as well as much as mine
That's your
as it
kid.
is for me, because
Right.
we have a 3-year-old. So
Yeah.
you have to watch him too. So we agreed that this was the move we were going to make, and I was really enjoying it, and he could see that I was enjoying it. So it was a decision that it was kind of like a no-brainer, but we did it 2 weeks.
That's
2 weeks
tough.
after signing up for the original class, we were signing up until October.
So I think we actually changed the timeline on this. I think there's one more week now to before you have that
Oh,
thing, because we realized I think it was super close to one another, and we were like, after 2 weeks, do people really know if they want to continue or not? But I think it's just one week. So, well, let's talk about this. So you sign up, you're 2 weeks
mm-hmm.
in, and it's just HTML and CSS, and I consider it's kind of the easiest part of the 4 week fundamental, right? Because
Yes.
the real programming arrives week 3, when you actually start to play with JavaScript, and you learn about loops, you learn about variables.
Learn
So
about
you sign up.
manipulating the DOM,
Yeah,
DOM and
that's
all.
last week. Yeah, that's when your mind
Yes.
explodes, right? um so you sign up, and then JavaScript hits you. Like, did you have any doubt at that moment in time, like the last 2 weeks suddenly gets real? What goes through your
No.
mind?
Well, let me think. I don't think it really got real, because once
Uh,
again, I have a degree in math. So
yeah.
I always said coding is like grown people math.
Mhm.
So if you are thinking, and side note, my husband and I play a game called Rumi Cube. Are you familiar with that?
Like Ruby Cube, like the Ruby Cube, like the
No,
with the
I
with the
wish I could
faces.
do that. No, it's called Rumi Cube. So
Ruby
it's kind
Cube.
of like you gotta like mix some tiles up and break some things up to like make a sequence or set of something. So we play that every night. So it's kind of like the same logic. It's a logical game.
So you're both
Um,
super cerebral.
all in my logic,
Yeah.
all in my brain. So when the loops came, and the if and then
Yeah.
and a while and a for, and I was like, okay, wait, are these are three? We're doing the same thing, right? Like a if and a while and a for. This is all the same thing, right? And so it wasn't that hard when JavaScript came. It just didn't. I just wasn't expecting it. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
was just used to the cosmetics of my website, and then you brought in a whole nother aspect in it. So yeah,
So let's talk about this, because there's a lot of people who wonder if they have to be good in math. And our answer is no, you don't have to be good in math.
no,
Like, you don't really use math.
no, no, no,
But
no.
what you're describing is very true and fair as well, which is, if you have a logical mind, right? If you can think logically in terms of, conditions, if that happens, then that happens,
Yep,
and then make it harder and more complex,
yep.
then you're gonna like it. But it's not pure math. Like, you're not gonna really, unless you go in game development or
Right.
very
No.
specialized. So I don't know. Do you want to add to that? Do you want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about the
yeah.
difference
So
between math and?
the one way that I always explain just coding or logic in general to anybody that I meet is, if you have a yes or no question, and you want somebody to click yes or no on your website or whatever, like how many answers do you get? Usually people are saying two. You can either choose yes or no. But truthfully, the answer is four. You can get a yes, a no, neither, or both. So it's like somebody logically has to think of, okay, if somebody hits both, then what is my program gonna do? If somebody hits yes, what is my program gonna do? What if somebody hits neither one of them? What is my program gonna do? But that's the logic that you have to think through when you're programming, or that's the logic that you have to think through when you're doing math of, if I divide this by two, what is going to happen, or do I divide it by four and do what's going to happen? So there's always more than one way to figure out an answer.
That's pretty cool. Hey, so let's actually pause here. Let's look at the chatter, and then we'll bring Zach, who's been waiting patiently. Let's see. You can read the comments, right, as well?
Yes.
Can you see anything that we should be answering? Let's have a look. And by the way, while I'm looking for that, you can join this stream like Zach is doing by following this link, url.newcamp.co/dial-in. You can join. And if you have a mic and a video and camera, it's even better. And we'll bring you on live and we'll have a chat. A lot of people love your energy. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Some people were going through the same thing that you did. All right. So Barry has a question. And we'll get to that right after. I think right after we bring Zach on. Hey, Zach, are you ready to join us? I'm going to switch you on, and I hope you're going to have, hopefully, your camera and mic on. There you go. All right. Hey, Zach, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Hi, Ludo. Am I come okay?
Yes, perfect.
All right. I'm so excited that I get to join this one because I am a math teacher, and it's fun that you guys are talking about this because this is my world and I live in it. I was going to kind of like to extend your conversation, Rachel, about like when is math important, and I think actually it's one of the reasons why I have shifted towards like wanting to pursue CS education in secondary, especially education, is that a lot of times students ask me, why do I need to know this? And if I'm teaching them, let's see, finding roots of a polynomial, like that's a great question, right? Like,
can you repeat that? Root of polynomial? What?
Well, you're finding like solutions to a second or third order equation, right? And so you're saying this is important to you. It's not important to you.
Right.
It's something that we've identified on your state standards that is like something you need to know, but it's an opportunity cost thing, right? Like when I choose to teach you that, what have I chosen not to teach you? And so many times I feel like we would be way better, our time would be better spent with students to teach them computer science, where those same questions can be the same like parts of your brain that are stimulated by CS or programming, like they the math, the thing that we turn to math to try to do, programming could do in a way more accessible way. I guess that's what I see. So and I guess maybe one of the follow-up questions I had for you, Rachel, was so you're going from this heavy math background to computer science. When you were transitioning, like, I don't know, did you ever do any algorithm stuff where you started seeing like, for example, you're facing a logarithm or a big O notation complexity? Were you like applying your math to those scenarios, or have you found it most of the time, like the ways you could apply math are usually at a higher level or a more abstracted level, like at a graduate system kind of thing?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say math per se I use, but like I said, I think my biggest takeaway from my math degree was how to think about a problem, not necessarily what is the answer, but okay, what way, if I were to factor it doing grouping, how do I get the answer? Or is it more efficient for me to do the quadratic formula? Like, is that more efficient? So there are multiple ways to figure out a problem. Just like in coding, or we'll take JavaScript for example. You could do an if-then statement, or you could do a switch statement, or you could do a while or a for, but you're still going to get the same answer. It's just more so like, what is the most efficient way? So I think I don't necessarily use my math, actual like number math, but the ways in thinking about a problem have been able to help me with my career.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Zach, for joining the show. I've seen you online on Slack as one of our most active students. It's a pleasure to have you. I wish you good luck.
Thank
And
you so much.
let's get back to Barry's question, actually. So yeah, Zach, I'm gonna switch you off. There we go. Um, so Barry has this question, and we were gonna get there, but it would have taken some, build up. So let's go just straight there. How
Let's
did you
do
get
it.
your first job?
So my first job was back when I was a kid, but my first tech job, I would say. So it's a funny story. I was working as a preschool teacher, finished the boot camp in October. And I'm telling all my coworkers, like, yeah, guys, I finished this boot camp. And they're all rooting for me, like, yay, Rachel, like, get out of here. You have a whole degree in math. Like, what are you doing here? Like, we have, high school diplomas. What are you doing here? And so they're all rooting for me, and I'm like, yeah, you guys, like, I'm about to start applying for jobs. And I know the first job to get is always the hardest one to get in tech,
Yeah.
but once you're in there, you're good. So I have my boss come to me one day and is like, hey, Rachel, come speak to me. And I was like, oh man, like, she done found out that I'm looking for a new job. I'm about to get in trouble. So I'm just sitting in her office like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? Like, I can't lie. I'm not about to lie to this lady, but it is what it is. So she's like, so Rachel, what's the plan? What's your plan? And I'm like, what do you mean? What's my plan? She's like, yeah, I heard you're looking for a new job and whatnot. And I was like, well, here it is. Yes, I finished the coding boot camp in October, but nobody's, going to pick me up immediately. I have to build my portfolio. I have I'm doing some things here and there. I am, applying here and there, but nothing's sticking right now. It's going to take a while because it usually takes a while to get your first job in tech. And she's like, oh, okay, computer programming, huh? Yeah, okay. And she's like, that's what my son does. And I'm like, no, I've never met your son, ma'am, but no, I did not know that. And she was like, Rachel, to be honest, like, we would hate to have you leave us, but I'll at least get his email for you. You can pass your resume to him. So I get online. I'm looking at this company like, oh, I don't know, what is this stuff? Like, this is aviation and simulation and some way higher stuff that they did not teach me in new camp. So I don't know about this. So I send my resume to the guy. I end up seeing him at school the next day, and he was like, yeah, Rachel, I saw your resume. I to be honest, Rachel, like, we don't use any of the languages that
Yeah.
but I'll still pass it to my CEO. And I was like, oh, well, there we go. I tried.
Yeah.
So maybe by the end of the week or so, his CEO emails me, hey, Rachel, we'd love to talk to you, whoop-de-whoop. So during this time from getting this email until Friday at my interview, I'm now looking on their website. They're looking for a programmer who knows Java and C++ and knows all these aviation terms I still do not know. And they're looking for these things. And I'm like, oh, I don't know any of this, but he wants to talk. So let's just see what happens. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? So I go into this interview on the phone, and on my lunch break, mind you, because I'm still working as a preschool teacher.
And it's a local company, right? Rachel, it's a local company. It's in Fort Worth.
It's a local company. Yeah. So I'm running to my car for my interview, my phone interview. And this is the most unprepared interview I've had, because in my mind, I already know I do not know the languages that they're looking for. So they're asking me about stuff, and they're asking me about stuff like, have you worked with schemas? And have you worked with the back end things? And I'm like, yeah, I did that for 4 weeks in my full stack boot camp. Did I understand it? You don't know that. But yeah, sure. I was, I asked questions and, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I know some JavaScript. I know CSS. I know HTML, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, to be honest, Rachel, we're looking to create a position that utilizes the languages that you do know. And I was like,
What?
oh,
Oh
good thing
my
I came so
God.
prepared to this interview. Great. So it was great. So they end up calling me in that next week for an in-person interview, and they're giving me a tour of all the things. And that Friday, they had an offer for me. Got a job through my
This
old
is
boss.
surreal.
Crazy.
This is
So
surreal.
crazy.
So okay, that's an awesome story. How do you, when you look back at what happened, what happened actually? What did you get that position? You think? What appealed to them? And what are you doing now today? I mean, what is your job?
So my job now is a programmer analyst, and they hired me on as a web developer. So I know
Gotcha.
they needed their um their website revamped. They just needed a whole new like lift to the website,
So
and they
exactly what
were,
you learned then.
yes,
Not.
even though they were doing WordPress, and I was like, oh, never did
Oh,
that. Never did that before, but y'all don't know that. We'll figure it out. But even the things that I've learned through New Camp, I was able to use using WordPress, because there were things like, oh, this isn't centered, oh, this needs to be a different color. You can write your own CSS.
yeah.
I can do that though. Haha. People, I don't need the premium because I can write my own stuff. So different plugins I've been able to tweak on my own just from the stuff that I know through from the boot camp. That's one thing that I do. And then I also do a lot of internal automations. So a lot of things that we have. So if somebody has a sales order, one employee
Mhm.
may fire off the sales order, but the other employee doesn't know. So they need the automated email to this CEO like, hey, such and such fired off a sales order, or such and such just got a new client. So
Yeah.
those automations all need to be coded. So that part I really enjoy. But one thing that I also forgot to tell you, in our interview, they were saying like, Rachel, we want to bring you on and utilize the languages that you do know, but in the meantime, we want to teach you the other languages that you didn't know. So I could say I've learned Java within these
Nice.
past, I guess, 8 months or so, because they've been teaching me Java, and it's been going very well.
That's awesome. So you've been there for how long now?
10 months now.
10 months. That's pretty
Hmm.
cool. That's awesome.
Yep, it'll be a
So,
year in
um,
February.
I mean, it's crazy. Well, it sets a really high bar, and I hope people that are watching this don't think that's kind of normal. I mean,
No, 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 no,
I
no,
will
no.
never I will never call something like that luck, because there's no luck. You've worked hard, but it's quite unusual to be in a position like you didn't even apply for a job.
No, I didn't. Man, that's
Now the
God
thing,
for real. I loved
but the
it.
thing, the thing that teaches me, and I think a lot of people should really also retain from your story, is it's not necessarily about applying to position, blindly on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Networking, the people you
Yeah.
know, is a big deal,
Yep.
and being active and engaging around you, I mean, just, you have a ton of energy, and I trust that your boss at the place where you were looking after kids, you had an impact on her because of your smarts, your energy. And when you do that, when you engage with people that way, you trigger emotions, and people want to help, and people really look out for you. And that's so much that
I agree.
you can exchange, and you can keep that, and just stop sending any blind
No, for
LinkedIn
sure.
applications. This is, yeah, no, that's amazing, an amazing story, and really, network is super super important. We have Zendra joining us. Zendra is actually part of the team.
Man, Xandra helped me
Started
out
as a
so much.
Oh, cool. So hey, Zendra, we're gonna bring you on. You want to say hi? All right. All right. Hey, Zendra,
Hey,
Hey,
how
can
Xandra!
you
you
hear me
doing?
okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Hey. Oh,
Zendra
it's
is
so
joining
nice to
us
see you.
from New York.
New
You're in New York
York.
now?
Yep.
Wow, you just went from one to the other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Concrete
Wow.
jungle where dreams are made of. Uh-oh.
Oh,
We're
okay.
going to get copy strike if I don't shut up.
So
Okay.
yeah, Zendra, just maybe to introduce you, Zendra, to the audience. Zendra I mean, you've been with us for almost 3 years, 2 years. what did we say
Yeah,
last time
almost
we
3 years.
Almost 3 years. And you
I can't
studied
believe it.
in Hawaii. So you
Yeah.
were one of the few instructors we had in Hawaii before the pandemic hit.
Mhm.
And you were in Hawaii up until very recently, and then you moved to New York. But you're
Yeah.
working with New Camp now, not as an instructor. I mean, helping students and others. So yeah, I mean, great to have you on the show. What did you want to share with us, Zandra?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for reaching out on Slack when you were
No.
job hunting to Rachel. And you really worked hard, and that's what I hope all the students take away from this, even the non-New Camp people watching this. And I wanted to ask um, if you had, okay, this is a two-parter.
Okay.
Um, what made you decide to do the boot camp and not just keep doing the study on your own?
Mhm.
And then how much would you stress like personal networking to get that first job? So why the boot camp? And then what would you say to people who haven't reached out to their friends network?
Yeah, okay. So the reason I decided to actually do something more formal as opposed to University of YouTube, I know I needed the discipline. I needed somebody to check in and say, Rachel, did you do this? Or this is due on Wednesday, or this is due on Friday, or Saturday. You better get your stuff together because you got a whole nother week coming behind you. So I know I needed something as a motivator to come behind me, not just I know I am self-motivated, but it's easy for me just to be like, okay, I did 2 hours, that's enough. But I definitely wanted the discipline that New Camp provided.
Mm.
And then encouraging somebody. What was the second question?
To personal network, like because I
Yes,
talked to
okay.
some students on Slack who have not reached out to their personal network yet.
No,
Like
that's
you kind of
definitely
had it,
key.
your boss invited you and said, hey,
Yes.
my son is this and that, but
Yeah.
that
And I
just
and
proves,
I take that example for I don't take it for granted for one, but I joke with my old coworkers of one of y'all ran your mouths to my boss about me looking for a new job, but I appreciate it
got you in
because of
trouble.
that I now had a new job. So I mean I joke about that, but still like you never know who you're connected to. You never know what job God has out there for you. Like you never know what
Mm.
connection that He's already given you that you already have that could be in your back pocket. Like even now, I am thinking like, who do I know that knows Java that can come on my
Yeah,
job that lives in
you
Fort
don't
Worth?
know you
Like,
don't know who you
please,
know.
yes, yes.
Wow. Well, thanks. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that, and hopefully somebody was out there who needed to hear that. Thanks for letting me bum rush the party there,
No,
Ludo.
it's awesome. Thank you for joining, Zandra. I
All
hope
right.
everything is fine in New York. Is there snow coming yet? Not yet. Do you have
We
some?
had a little bit of
Yeah.
flurries, and I'm gonna
Wow.
have to use a pancake spatula on my windshield because we don't have nothing. We
All right.
gotta
Well,
buy some supplies.
that's gonna make
Wow.
you forget Hawaii pretty fast.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, it will.
I won't say regret, but yeah, it's gonna
Well,
be.
my mom is here in New York, so that's
That's
where
good.
you got to be.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotcha.
Hey, we're gonna have Bingo join us right after this. I know Bingo tried last week to join us, and I also saw Bingo that you had a question in the chat. So how about you actually maybe use that time to ask your question? All right, Bingo, welcome.
Hi,
You
Hello.
are on the show. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, I'm not a troll. I'm a real
Yeah,
person.
that was last week. Like people were wondering who are all those people kind of showing up. Yeah, no trolls.
Yes,
So
I just
you had a question, Bingo. Let me put it up for you if you want. You wanna read it out loud and maybe
yes.
ask.
Any tips for logical thinking? And did you use any other resources when you were on your new camp, boot camp, especially the full
Mhm.
stack one?
Yes, for sure. So even now, I go on to codewars.com and I guess for me they're kind of like and this is another correlation to math of the more you practice something, the more it becomes just easier for you. Like you never know, you never understand math until you do. Because when you do
Yeah,
understand it, it's like, oh, this is so easy.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't I get
I
this
love math
before?
actually.
Right. So it's like you never understand those formulas until you do. And then when you do, you look back and say, why is it so easy? So when I get on Code Wars, one, it's just a bunch of different problems that may be about matrix, or it may be about, or not matrix, about arrays, or and then it may be about a if then statement, or it may be about list. So just different things in different areas, and they're based on different levels too. So you can do the really easy ones. That's still where I am, just building my confidence, knowing I can do these, but I'm still like, that took me 2 minutes. I still got it. So like I still get on there now and just do some fun problems just to keep my mind stimulated. So those are definitely what I suggest is getting on Code
Is it
Wars.
a
And that's
website?
also hmm?
Is it a website
Yes,
or
it's a website.
How do you Code Wars?
Codewars.com. And then there's
Code
another one.
Wars?
Yes, there's
Code
another
Wars.
one. I think it
Is
starts with the
it?
I.
Let me see. Code Wars.
Yes, yes. I'm familiar with Code Wars. Yes.
Code
Yes.
Wars. I have not. I have not. I'm not familiar with this one.
Come on, Ludo. You behind
Yeah,
times.
Code
I know. I
Wars. And
know.
it's free.
Don't. I have a little bit of gray hair, but not too much. Can you see it here? Is it here? Oh.
I love your energy. So
Thank
thank you for
you.
encouraging us.
Thank you.
Hey, Beagle. Tell us about yourself a little. So,
Oh,
you are students of ours, right? What are you
yes.
doing right now? You are.
I'm
Which
on
course are
my
you
week
following?
2 of my bootstrap.
Also, just the
Oh,
beginning.
Bootstrap. I
Yeah.
love Bootstrap.
I don't like it.
Oh,
No.
you don't like it?
I
What don't
like
you like
more
about it?
pure CSS.
Bootstrap
Because
I felt was like a cheat code for me. Like, oh, all I need to do is add it to the class and all of this stuff comes?
I know,
Oh.
I mean, that's the nice part, but I feel like when you added some other stuff, it messed it up because
Yeah.
it's actually I started technically I have a healthcare background. So I just recently passed my LVN course. LVN, like a licensed vocational nurse.
Gotcha.
But my mind is not really into that. I'm more a math and logical person.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, when I found out like people in YouTube, like they can do software engineering by
Mhm.
themselves, I was like, I can do that too. And then I went to Career Karma and searched for their 21-day like boot camp to search which boot camp matches. And
Mhm.
then I saw, because I've been researching and researching. So I saw Ludo with Don, the developer, and I like what his mission statement about the company. Then I was like, oh, I want to be part of that. I just need some structure and do things on my own, and
Yeah.
I think I could make it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
Keep
great.
yeah,
going.
but I don't have any. I know I failed the JavaScript exam, and I don't want to go to the fundamentals. And know
Mm.
I know the risk I'm doing. Don't worry, I just got 52%, but I know, but I still
Well,
went. I know I
yeah.
want to do full stack. I can
Okay.
do this, and I actually joined the hackathon before the boot camp
Oh, that's a great idea.
with Mint Bean. So that's why when my teammate graduated from New Camp was doing Bootstrap and I was incorporating something with my CSS. I just
Mhm.
like watch YouTube and try to incorporate and it just messes it up. So I need to redo everything what she did because she didn't have any time anymore. So I was like, okay, let me just do everything from scratch with CSS and just a minimal JavaScript for the Canva because it
Yeah.
was a painting app. So
Mhm.
and
Gotcha.
then I was able to do it because the bootstrap like just messed it up. So I was like, ah. And now,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's my story. But yeah, so I really don't
Well,
have any background with coding, but I
Bingo,
don't
I
know.
wish you the best. If you're
Thank you.
hitting a wall, and everybody hits a wall at any time, I
Yep.
mean, most people are going to hit a wall, and it's about what do you do when you hit that wall. Ping me on Slack if you're feeling like you don't know what to do. It's harder than you thought. Ping me
Actually,
on Slack, and we'll
it's
Slack
not
it.
that it's hard. It the bootstrap. It's not that bootstrap is hard for me. It's just that to incorporate other factors in, it just mess up. But regarding the lessons, I'm on par of it. I'm
Cool.
okay. I'm
All
okay
right.
with it. And I
Yeah,
got some
Bootstrap
books to look.
Bootstrap should be fine. I'm more thinking after that when you hit React.
Oh,
If you've struggled with JavaScript, you wanna you
I
wanna
got
be,
this
but yeah.
one. I got some books.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, you supplement. All right,
Yeah,
hey,
I got
Bingo,
this
it was
too.
great. There you go. Cool.
Great.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
got
you're
this
doing the
one
right
too.
thing. You're absolutely doing the right thing. So,
Good.
anyway, it was great to have you here,
Thank
Bingo.
you.
Thank you for joining, and
Yeah.
we'll see each other on Slack.
Okay.
All right. All right. Hey, Rachel. So, geez, where are we now? So let's see if there are a few questions, and I need to look at my list. I have several
Leak
questions for
code. That
you.
was the other one. I saw that in the chat.
What? Which one?
Leaked code.
Oh, yeah,
That's
lead
the one that
code.
a lot of people do as well.
Yeah, that's right. Especially to prepare for
Hmm.
algorithms and interviews and stuff like that. Oh, Jamila is asking, will this be available after? And I hope she's still here to hear the answer. And the answer is yes, it's going to be available on YouTube. Um, all right, what else do you see?
Somebody had asked, is it fully online or could you be fully online? Mine was fully online. I'm not sure if you all have gone back in person, or
Not
if
yet.
Zoom is just worked out. But ours was fully online. Like we did our classes on our own independently throughout the week, and then on Saturday we had a chunk of time, 9 to 1, I think,
Yeah.
and all of our class, about 12 of us got on there with our instructor, and he had a lecture, and he answered questions, and then we did our assignment together, or separately, and maybe did in the small groups that week. But yeah, it's all online.
Yeah, it's still the same experience. So during the
Hmm.
week, you learn at your own pace. You have a set list of lessons that you want to go through, and it's at your own pace because if you're working full time and maybe you're on a different shift, you can really arrange your schedule around that. But then on Saturday morning, still 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., there's a portion of the instructor is kind of providing a recap of what you've learned that week,
Hmm.
and then there's a we call it a workshop assignment, and it's where it gets real a little bit because you know during the week we kind of give you some of the answers. It's kind of I
Hmm.
mean, you have to understand and you have to practice and write the code, but on Saturday we really don't give you that much code and you have to come up
Hmm.
with it on your own.
Yeah.
And so there's breakout rooms, we use Zoom. Yes, still the same thing. There's a question from Kirby. um, do you think I'm too old on 50 years old to do this? So I'm turning 50 myself. And I know I don't look like I'm 50. Thank
You
you.
really don't though.
I'm pushing it. But so you're never too old to learn. And I will say what I will encourage people to do is think about how deeply you are passionate about it. What's your passion for IT or computers? If you're just starting at 50 years old or 51, to be interested in that space while you were not interested in the space before, it may be a hint that you may not have the passion for it. So it's not about being too old or not. Is I truly believe that to be successful at any age, you need to have passion. You need to enjoy the work.
Yeah.
And if you're just discovering that passion, great. Um, but think about it. Like, are you really interested in this field? Because if you are not interested in this field for the first 50 years of your life, maybe you're not. And maybe that's not something for you. Um, no, there's nothing wrong like you did. Like you didn't know you liked coding,
Yeah.
but you actually picked it up and immediately it clicked. So that's fine. That's fair as well. Um, so check that. I would say if it's your first time to wonder about it, try online, just like you did, Rachel. Right?
Hmm.
The lowest risk possible, the least affordable option. Try online the 1 week challenge or a small course and see if it clicks. See if you actually if you're engaged in it.
Hmm.
Um, so it's never too old to learn and be good at it. Now the other aspect of your question, I think, is am I too old to get a job? Like, is there ageism with hiring manager in the workplace?
Hmm.
And the answer is yes, there's probably a little bit of that. But there's also a huge demand in the field,
Hmm.
and it's also depending on how much you can blend your past experience with the software engineering experience, because
Yep.
you could actually present to a potential employer a great resume and value proposition where you bring a wealth of knowledge in your industry or past industry and a great amount of knowledge in the new IT industry. So yeah, it's never too old. There is ageism like anywhere else, but it's probably less because there is a huge demand as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it depends how what you're doing now, or how your software skills can marry with your other skills. What do you think, Rachel?
That was well said. I agree with all that you said and all your wisdom of almost 50 years.
All right.
No, I would definitely say I'm one of the youngest people at my job
How
because,
are you?
well, I don't even know. Did I tell you what we do?
Well, kind of actually. Let's go there. You talked about aviation, and but I
Yes.
looked at the website, so I have an idea, but I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure
Sure.
the
I
audience
mean,
would love to know
a
what
short,
the company is
short
about.
little sentence is we create simulators for government aircrafts and helicopters. So a lot of them are like ex-military, been around these military aircrafts, and they are 50 plus years old. And they love developing, and they've been doing this for years, but they
Coders as
are.
well now.
Hmm?
They're coders as well. They're
Yeah,
developers.
yeah. No, so there's probably about 20 people in my company, and 3 don't code.
Oh wow.
So yeah. And I'm one of the youngest people, so
So
definitely.
I mean, there's a lot of people, me included, who like gaming and stuff. So are you saying that your company builds like real and like manufactured simulations, like not just a screen, but I'm
Yes.
guessing like are you in a cockpit of sorts
Yes.
as well?
Yep. Yep. In a cockpit, they'll build the hardware and the software. So we are a software company, but we also build the hardware to go with it. So we integrate a lot of different things. So we can integrate the chair, we can integrate the landscape, but everything is very accurate because it's the government. It's just not like a game. It's just like, oh, it's a person
All
over
right, but
there. Or,
but
oh, that's
I'm trying to get, is it better than a game? Like when you're in the cockpit, like do you have hydraulic pumps that also gonna have you move in the cockpit at the same time? I want to know.
they're working on that. They're
Oh
working on
yeah.
that because I think they are trying to now get into government speak now. So we're under none of this is confidential.
Oh,
But
yeah. Okay, good.
no, none of this is confidential. But they are looking to train the pilots first on ground because they're going to give
Yeah.
them different scenarios. So like if it rains, what happens? If it's another aircraft coming from this way, like what
Yeah.
do you do? Or if it starts to hail out of nowhere, there's a drone now. What do we do? And that's also something that we code in software, different ways to handle drones and um how we control drones. So that's also software that we do, but it's
Cool.
all, it can't be fun and games because it's the government. So yeah.
Cool. Let me see. There was another question I thought. Uh, oh, there is something about. Oh yeah. Oops. There we go. Is it so MB ban? Is it necessary to go to classes during the weekends? What if we wish to do it fully online? Is it possible? So I think we kind of covered that. It is necessary to attend the workshops on Saturday mornings. There's a huge amount of value in doing that, but
Yeah.
it's not in person, it's online as well. Um, there's an echo. I hear myself. Can you hear? No, that's okay.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so the weekend workshops are live online, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in 3 different time zones. So you can actually pick the one that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go back. Actually, you said so you were interviewed for that job,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you got the job, and you didn't feel like you were qualified at first. You were like, no way,
No.
I'm going to get that job. And there's a lot of people who talk about imposter syndrome.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us how you dealt with that? Like, can you tell us, not during the interview, but you got the job now. Your start date is
Yep.
then tell us about the first day. Tell us about the first week. Like,
Okay.
how did
So
you deal with the imposter syndrome?
one, I have a great supervisor. So once she gives me the space of like, Rachel, if you need help, we will go to this whiteboard and we will write it out and we will graph it and do whatever needs to be explained. So I'm very thankful for my supervisor. and they knew me coming in. I think they knew the expectation that I had just got out of a boot camp, and they were willing to take a chance on me in a sense. So I don't think their expectations were high. And I didn't ask for a high salary, so I didn't have to like live up to that high salary.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But I have gotten a raise since my 90-day review, because they're like, Rachel, you're doing a
Oh,
lot
nice.
better than
That's pretty cool.
a lot better than we expected. So that was one thing. But I think so you have like your TV display. Well, in our company, you have a TV display and you have your laptop. So whenever I had a question and I didn't know what to do, I would pull my little YouTube screen to my laptop and I would push play on the laptop. So it wasn't on my big display where everybody can see. It was just on my laptop. I'm standing in front of it so nobody can see what I'm looking at. But I'm looking up like simple things of how do you change this, and this? And I'm like, let me get on YouTube real quick. And okay, yeah, I know how to do that. Go back over to my display as if I knew what I was doing. So here's the thing. Everybody is doing this.
Exactly.
Everybody is doing this.
Absolutely.
Everybody is learning. So
Yeah. There
and I
should be
think
no
that was-
shame in looking for,
No.
short tutorials, Google articles.
yes.
I mean, if you're not
Yes.
doing it, actually, you're doing it wrong.
Yes. And I think so. One thing, get this, Ludo. So I finished Bootstrap the week we finished it or whatever. The very next week, Bootstrap 5 came out. And I was like, no, what did I just spend 4 weeks learning Bootstrap for if a whole new version just came out the next day? So it kind of just put it in perspective for me of like, technology is constantly changing, constantly developing, constantly changing. So I'm never going to know everything. Yeah. So what I know right now is what I know right now. What I don't know, I hopefully somebody made a YouTube video about it, or somebody on Stack Overflow has it, or somebody else has done it. So don't be ashamed to look up some things on Google and learn some things, and through that you will learn as well.
So you were really able to handle that imposter syndrome. How do you feel today? Like when do you feel like it wasn't an issue anymore, or is it still maybe an issue sometimes?
No, I think so they gave me a project my second month there that was all Java, because like I said, they were going to teach me Java as I was working. And they gave me a project that had no timeline on it. So it was kind of just like, hey, Rachel, we have this in the back that we've been working on. I wanted this done for 15 years, but nobody's ever gotten to it. Like, if you get it done, that would be great. But if you don't, it's been here for 15 years. So it's whatever.
Oh, wow. It's kind of an open challenge, right?
I'm just like, okay, well, let me just, what is the first thing to do in Java? Okay, well, let's do that. And it gave me just the opportunity to learn on my own speed, which I've been doing with New Camp, and to challenge myself, and also be like, if I get this done, they're going to be like, that girl, we
nobody's done it in 50 years, right?
Okay, so it only took me a month to do it, but I got it done. And they were very impressed. They're just like, wow, Rachel, like, this is what we wanted, to happen. So I think building my confidence and just having the support of my staff and my coworkers and my leadership to be like, we're going to give this to you and just learn. So I think truthfully, the imposter syndrome comes from the insecurity of feeling as if you can't do, or you can't perform, or you're trying to overperform or be somebody that you're not. And that's not the case for me at my job. Like, they knew the expectations of me coming in, and they were just like, well, we know that you're down here. So here you are down here, and just go up, Rachel. So I'm very thankful for my job and my leadership.
No, that's an awesome example, and what you've experienced here. You can fight imposter syndrome by working on projects. I mean, a lot of people are going to say that, and it's so true. Because once you work on a project, you've learned two things. First, you know that you can do that. The project that you just did, you can do it, right? You've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know that you can pick up another new project because you've just did it, and you can discover something new and do it.
Yep.
So if you've done it once, right? You didn't know it before.
Yeah.
You discover it. You've done it. You know how to do it. Like, next project is going to be the same. You're not going to know anything about the technology, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe you actually know 50% this time, but you know you're capable of learning enough to just implement something that is needed. And
I've had to tell myself that I had to do something with like our REST API stuff that
Yeah.
we definitely learned in New Camp that I was like, I don't understand none of this, didn't understand it then, don't understand it now, but I have to learn it now because I have to apply it to my job.
That's real.
But I remembered back to this one project that they gave me, and I'm like, Rachel, you literally did not know anything, and you produced this project. How about we just take a second to actually read the document? Don't skim it. Don't skim over the words. Actually, like read it and digest it and sit in it. And I actually was able to understand more. So definitely using that project, that initial project, gave me the confidence to keep going in the other projects that they've given me.
Yeah, it's you know what, you just said something. Reading the documentation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so human nature when you see too many words on a page to
Yes.
kind of like no way I'm going to read all of them. But it's so important in programming and in development. Every sentence, every bullet point has a meaning,
Yeah.
and you really want to concentrate and force yourself to read every line with attention, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when true learning happens. I
Yeah.
find myself, and you probably, I mean, probably have done that as well, right? You work on a piece of code or a project, and you know there's like 3 pages of documentation out there, and you're like, I'm not going to read the 3 pages.
No.
I'm just going to skim through it, and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's painful because you have a bug, and you have a bug, and you're like, how do I fix that bug? And then at some point you're like, all right, I'm gonna go read those 3 pages.
Right. Right.
And then you do, and you're like,
And the answer's there the whole
oh,
time. Yes.
that's why I have
Yes.
the bug.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Happens
That's
all the time.
all the time, right? You're
And I
like,
still go
don't
back and
wanna
like,
read it.
I'm gonna skim this.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
go back to it. But
Yep.
sometimes it works. Sometimes you're like, I don't know why it works. It just works. I
Yeah.
didn't have to read it. It works. Until
Yep.
it doesn't. All right, let's check the. We have 4 minutes left. That went really fast. So let's check the chatter again. And if anyone wants to join us for the last few minutes, there's a link. Let me actually pull the link again if you want to join. Where is that one? There we go. I can't hearing like there's an echo. It's weird. I never had that before. I don't know. So if you want to join, url.newcamp.co/dial in. But otherwise, let's look at. Do you see anything that we should answer here?
I think you should answer about the job career assistance.
Oh, which
MB,
one is that?
he asked another question. It says, what kind of job/career assistance does New Camp provide?
Yes. All right. I don't see it, but let me address that. So it's actually changed since you graduated. I think we didn't have as much as we do now.
Mhm.
We have one-on-one career coaching. So the minute you're graduating and the minute you're answering that employment survey,
Mhm.
that gives you like sometimes $5, sometimes $10 to answer an employment survey. You don't know that? You said so. Sorry. Let me walk back everything. Right before we went live, you were telling me about those employment surveys
Surveys.
that you get.
Mhm.
Tell me what do you like about those employment surveys?
So after you graduate New Camp, they send out surveys of just like, hey, let's catch up. Like, how have you been? Did you, change careers yet? Have you found a new job? Woo. Hey, if you take this survey, I'll give you $5. So every time I'm like, yes, thank you for lunch. Appreciate it, Ludo. So sometimes I don't even know how often they come out, but they'll send
Every
surveys
3 months.
out. Say that again.
Every 3 months for a period of 1 year.
Okay, so my year's up.
Yeah, you may actually. I will see into extending that for you if you want your $5 lunch.
I would appreciate that very much. So yeah, they'll send out surveys just asking about your employment status, and they will send you $5 to your PayPal.
Yeah. So we do those employment surveys, and that's how actually we get our stats that you see on the website. I think we're going to soon reach the 1,000 survey answers received, and so if you're receiving your employment survey email, anytime you answer it, no matter what you answer, obviously you get $5. And so that's also a requirement to then be assigned a career coach. So it's a one-on-one mentoring. We didn't have that when you graduated, I think.
But Xandra stepped up for me. Xandra was my
Yeah.
one-on-one coach.
And so we have 4 coaches now, I think. Yeah. And so you can schedule 30 minutes call with them. They're going to look at your
Awesome.
resume. They're going to give you guidance. We have the job search network channel on Slack, which is super active, and we post opportunities there. We do it. Some actually past students do it. Some instructors do it. So we have a ton of job opportunities being posted there. We're partnering with Minbin. I think it's Bingo talking about Minbin, the hackathon.
Mm.
Did you participate? Did you do a hackathon?
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, you didn't have to.
You already had a job.
Please, we're just 1 minute away from the end of the stream. Let me. So yeah, we're doing a stunt. But if you go, actually, I have a link that I can. There we go. Career services. If you follow that link, that's where we're listing all the career services that we have. All right, let's go through. Let me actually try to clean that chat before we end the stream. Is there? Kirby is asking, is there anything I should start preparing for my January start date with the fundamentals 4 weeks course? So make sure that you're, and that may sound silly if you feel like you're good with it, but make sure that you have the basics of using a computer. We know some students come in and they have a hard time with manipulating folders, files and folders,
Yeah.
navigating through those. So if you know that, all fine. But if you're unsure, make sure that you have a good, understanding of files, folders, hierarchy of folders, and things like that. If you want to dive into command prompt and navigating the folders using the command prompt, cd, change directory, that'll be helpful. And then it never hurts to prepare yourself with some JavaScript. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever you can start learn JavaScript, go online, pick a Udemy course, or anything, actually a YouTube tutorial on JavaScript.
Mhm.
That's always going to help.
Yep.
Um, all right, let me see. So Celia is in Scranton, PA, and signed up for the bootcamp in Honolulu. You're going to be in the Pacific time zone, so not in Honolulu time zone. We actually don't run them in, and I don't know what time zone that is. Like, it's 3 hours behind Pacific. So Celia, you're going to be in Pacific time zone, and we're over. We're over time. Oh my god! I think that's one is for me, Kirby. You're a CEO and look like a French model. Thank you. You're my new best friend. I really look forward to talking to you
I'm not even 50 yet.
in January. Yeah. All right. Oh, South Africa is in the house.
Hey.
Pretty cool. Busy. Thanks for being here. Just started backend Python bootcamp. Awesome. Yeah, we're seeing that we have a ton more students from Europe, Africa,
That's
Asia.
awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
That online.
All right. I'm gonna have to let you go. Right? Are you busy right now, or can we continue maybe a little for a few minutes?
I probably gotta go. My
You
husband
gotta
has
go.
a meeting at 6, so
All right.
the 3-year-old's
So,
getting pushed to me.
and I have a meeting as well. So, hey, Rachel, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
I
Uh,
enjoyed it.
we should do it every week almost. Like just you, like the show, just you and me,
Yeah.
and we'll keep chatting.
As long as you
Uh,
pay me, I'll be here.
maybe I
Even
bring you as the
though
co-host. How do you
I'm
think? How
not.
about that?
Is this a paid
Co-host, like once
position,
in a
Ludo?
while.
Is this a paid position?
Why not? Let's talk offline. Let's talk offline. Um,
Okay.
uh, all right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining. I think we have another episode next week, and then we're going on a break. And yeah, we're in the 10th. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then yeah, we're gonna enjoy the holiday season. So I'll see everyone next week, hopefully. And Rachel, such a pleasure to have you again.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great weekend. All right.
Bye, guys.
See ya.